Okay, very good. And then I want to take a look at our agenda quickly. This is our general meeting, and I will share the agenda for a moment, and then I'll go back to us so we can see our faces. Okay, here we go. All right, can you all see that? I think I need to make the make it easier to read. Okay. All right, so this is our general meeting of April 4th. We're going to record the meeting, as you know. Let's go through well, let me say that according to our bylaws, the quorum for a general meeting is 5 people who are members. That's board members, advisors, and others who live in the community or may have a strong interest in the welfare of the community. So that will include Lisa and Tina and Linda. So we have plenty of quorum here. And we're ignoring what Matthew said, that what's been posted at the city for 30 years and counting is not valid. I can't believe that. So I'm just going to go with what I see posted at the city and in our bylaws. All right, so quickly we'll do some introductions. Then I want to revisit an amendment that we made at our special meeting. I just want to add a little bit of detail that we didn't add at the time, and but we need to do that. So we'll go over that. Anna Cox has generously offered to apply to be a board director, and so after we look at our resolution, then we are going to invite Anna to speak to us, and we can approve her directorship, or we can reject her out of hand, right? No, but I rather doubt that we will. Then we're going to do exploring Brentwood Darlington. We have a new neighborhood home-based business in Brentwood Darlington, and we will hear from the owner, Scott Morris. And then we'll hear any news we have from Black Futures Farm or Woodstock Library. Master Gardeners, Linda is here, so we will definitely hear from Master Gardeners. Then we have 3 items, at least of public interest, and we'll go over those. And then we'll look at a review what's been suggested for future agendas and see if there are any more ideas. Okay, so does anyone want to make any changes to this agenda? All right, well, I move that we approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gail. All right, we're all waiting for you, right? Okay, and do I hear any objections? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to say that the agenda is approved by everybody. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a moment so that we can introduce ourselves, then I'll go back to it so we can look at the resolution. All right, so would you please introduce yourselves? Let's start with Kim. Just say your name and your position and your basic interests. Hi.
Hi, Kimberly DeLeo, board member. I also sit and represent Brentwood Darlington on Southeast Uplift. Particular interests would be probably community outreach and safety.
Thank you, Kim. Okay. Derek, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Derek Covey. I'm a board member at large and I do some outreach. I've been in the neighborhood since 2012.
Thank you very much, Derek. And Gail, let's hear from you.
I'm Gail Kiley. I've been here since 1992, and we're getting sidewalks because I've seen them.
Yes, it's very nice. You know, Gail, I've been mispronouncing your name for 7 years. It's Kylie?
It is.
Not Keely, are you sure?
Oh, according to my husband.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get it right from now on. All right, Tina, would you introduce yourself?
I'm Tina, and I'm an advisor. I'm been in and out of the neighborhood since 1999. No, yeah, 1999. Been in this current house for about 8, 9 years now. And my passion and why I got involved with the neighborhood association to begin with is climate change in action in many of its glorious forms.
Thank you very much, Tina. And later, going to have you help me give a report on the Spring Green, which was a great success, thanks to everybody, and especially Tina. And Lisa, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, I'm Lisa Jameson. I've lived in Portland for 4 years and Brentwood, Arlington for a little more than 1 year. And I'm an advisor to the board. And my interests are community building and particularly making better use of the community center. I'm also the assistant team leader for the neighborhood emergency team and a Beacon volunteer.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Lisa. And then Anna, would you introduce yourself briefly, and then you'll speak again when your item comes up on our agenda. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm Anna Cox, and I am the current Lane PTA president. My son is in 6th grade over at Lane Middle School. I live just on the edge of Brentwood, Darlington, so right just a block north of Duke. So that's something to take into account, but I am always in Brentwood, Darlington. I feel like it's definitely the neighborhood that I'm closest to, and being right on Duke is I tend to follow all of the Brentwood Darlington news and activities. So
okay, very fine. Well, the bylaws say that even people living outside the boundaries, if they have an interest in the well-being of our neighborhood, then they may be considered members of the association. So I would say you definitely qualify for that. Okay, so last but not least, Kayla and Tam, would you introduce yourself briefly?
Hi, I'm Katie Tam. I'm a Woodstock Neighborhood Association board member, and I'm the chair of our Neighborhood Accessibility Committee, which we're focusing on trying to improve the pedestrian and bicycle safety in our neighborhood, and that includes, it goes into Brentwood Darlington as well, because it kind of is all together, right? I live about 1.5 blocks from Brentwood Darlington, so kind of in an area where there are a lot of gravel roads, and so yeah, I'm here to kind of listen in on your meeting, and then I sent Stephanie some information earlier today about a particular road that I'd like to talk about when I get a chance later.
Right. Yes. Okay. So later in the meeting, we will turn to your muddy Rex Road, and okay. So I'm going to and thank you very much for your presentation. Oh, we haven't heard from Linda. Linda, introduce yourself.
Linda Goldster. I'm the coordinator or the excuse me, the coordinator of the demonstration garden for Master Gardeners, Multnomah County Master Gardeners, just a little bit southeast of 57th and Duke on Green Thumb Properties. And I've been coming to these meetings for Brentwood Darlington Neighborhood Association for several years. Been with the garden since 2017.
Okay, thank you very much, Linda. We're always glad when we get to see you and have you in the meeting. Okay, Scott, introduce yourself very briefly because you're going to be talking more. Go ahead. Can't hear you.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. My name is Scott Mars. I live in Brentwood, Darling. My wife, Inga, and I have been here for, almost 10 years in our house, and we love the neighborhood.
Oh, okay, very fine. All right, well, we'll look forward to your presentation later. Thank you very much for introducing yourself. All right, I'm going to go back to the agenda again because we need to look at our resolution. Okay, all right, can you see it now? The agenda.
Yes.
I'm addressing all of you. Okay. All right. So at our special meeting of March 17, we adopted a resolution that reads as follows. Because board director numbers have fallen below the minimum required by our bylaws, we, the remaining directors, resolve to engage in a period of recruitment of additional board members, advisors, and volunteers now through July 2024. And then we jumped to C at the board meeting, or then we went to C. At the board meeting of August 1st, we'll adopt next steps, which will specify either continuation of operations as usual, because there will be enough directors to carry out the work of the association, or we'll initiate a process of hibernation, or in worst case, dissolution. If we have enough directors, and tonight I want us to choose a number. If we have blank or more directors as of August 1st, 2024, we will hold the general election usually held in May. The term of office will expire on April 30th, 2025. Elections will resume as usual in May 2025. So the part that I want to add has to do with holding the general election in May. We got a nice suggestion from Tina that instead of rushing, trying to find people in time for the board elections, which are next month, we postpone them until August 1st, which gives us several months in which to talk to people, convince them to make use of the wonderful tools that the BDNA has to offer, and allow us to speak at meetings or table or post on social media, whatever works, but we can do it in a calmer and I think more persuasive way if we take our time and don't feel hemmed in by elections. So the wording I propose to adopt or insert is that we will postpone the May board election until August 1st, 2024. As individuals express interest in joining the board, we will bring them on immediately so they may begin involving the neighborhood in BDNA work. So even though we'll leave elections until August, I think that if we have people who are interested in joining the board, and we feel that they're qualified and we want to work with them and so on, we should bring them on right away because there's a lot to learn about how the BDNA operates. And I want to be there to be able to help them understand what's going on and help get them going. And we'll all work together. But I don't think we should wait until August to bring on new people then. We'll just affirm, we'll still have the elections and everyone who wants to continue as a director will say so and be voted on in August. But our bylaws allow us to bring people on ahead of time. And I feel that we should do that. But this is something we can discuss tonight. So also on number C, do we want to set a number? I mean, do we want to say if we have 6 or more directors, 7 or more, 8 or more? I'd like to hear your thoughts, please. But first, let's go back to the board election until August 1st. Are you all comfortable with making this change? I'm just going to ask you individually. Kim DeLeo, what do you think? Are you okay with this?
I'm okay with the changes. Yes, thank you.
Okay, and how about you, Gail? Gail Kiley.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Derek, what do you, I
Yeah,
beg your pardon?
sounds good. Well,
I do believe our bylaws say that our May meeting is our annual general meeting. But if we don't have enough people for a quorum in May, then we can postpone the election. But we still need to have a May meeting.
Oh,
But
we'll have a May, we'll
think
have a
5
May
is the
meeting,
number.
but we weren't going to bring Matthew on and hold elections until
Right.
August. So what are you saying? That we should have the elections in May for the few of us who are here?
But if there's not a quorum, we can't have elections. Then we postpone till August.
Okay, well, and if we bring,
We don't have to, we can do our own elections. We've done it before.
okay, so what do you think about other people? What do you think about Gail's proposal?
And I like 5 as a number.
I'm not understanding Gail's proposal. What do our bylaws say is the minimum number that we have to have on the board?
5.
Okay, and presuming that we approve our applicant, and it looks like we have 2 applicants this evening because Gail has said she would like to be a member as well. That means we have 6 already. So we're not likely to not have a quorum at that meeting. So I'm not clear what you mean, Gail.
But where are you getting the 6 from?
Well, aren't there 4 now?
Gail, Kim, me, and Derek. So Gail has been our longest standing board member. So she's already a member.
Oh, okay. And Kim.
Read to me.
Yeah, Kim, Derek, Stephanie, and Gail.
And
4.
you.
Kim, Gail, Stephanie,
I'm sorry.
Derek. That's 4.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Why are you applying to be on the board, Gail? I thought you were an advisor. So you've already been on the board? I'm sorry.
Well,
excuse me.
A member at large.
Okay, the way it works is people say, well, they'll re-up, essentially, is what they're going to say. That's what she's talking about.
And
okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Member.
I misunderstood. Okay, my apologies.
No apology is necessary.
It's confusing.
I mean, we can do that, but
I will not be at the May meeting. I have band practice. No, I'll be in Canada. I might be back. I don't know.
Well, if we,
but you have the application on file.
I beg your pardon?
You have my application on file to be a member at large.
Thank you very much. But the whole we're kind of at a crisis point here, and the whole reason for postponing the election was to give us some breathing space while we okay, Tina, just a second. Thank you very much. I'll be right with you. Give us some breathing space so we can recruit people and just have one election for the year instead of 2. I mean, the bylaws aren't being very helpful to us at this point.
They're not. But I'm just saying, if we don't have a quorum in May, we can't have elections, and therefore August will be our elections. We are not going to have 2. We're going to have one or the other. If we have a boatload of people in May who want to join, fabulous. If not, August.
Okay, Tina, please. Can't hear you.
I had to unmute. Okay, so lower my hand. So the problem with Gail is I hear what you're saying. If a whole bunch of people show up, then we'll hold elections. The problem is even if we have enough bodies, we don't have enough bodies to become the chair, the treasurer, or hold appointed offices, which have to be elected pretty much about the same time. As it is with the current board, including the people coming in, I don't think there's somebody that's going to take Stephanie's spot as chair, and she's leaving the board.
Therefore,
so we're going to have 2 elections if we do it in May and August.
No, we can
so
only
doing a cohesive plan, make them board members officially and vote for the board, is more of a healthy use of everybody's energy, time, and stress. You know, you're not going to be there to vote beyond I'm a member at large, but we've got part of this proposal includes voting people immediately in as people at large. That's doing what you're basically wanting while still giving a defined date for official chair position vote. Does that make more sense?
Apparently not. Okay, but so Gail is not going to be, suppose we have 5 people, but Gail is not going to be there. We'll have 4 at the meeting. We won't have a quorum. Maybe we'll get 1 or 2 people by the May meeting, and we would have a quorum. Kim, let's hear from you.
I was curious if Derek had any input. He didn't speak yet.
Okay.
But I support postponing it until August. I don't know if, as long as we're allowed with the bylaws to do that.
Okay, I'll speak up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I'm good until August, but I will be stepping down. There's some changes going on with my life, with family and such. So I'm committed to being a board member through August, but at that point, I'm going to have to step down.
Okay. All right. I guess I feel that when we're at a crisis point, when we're trying to, and by the way, Derek, I'm sorry to hear this, but I understand that you have a lot going on, and that sometimes you need to make decisions like this. So thank you for saying that you'll be there until August. At the moment, I'm inclined to not let the bylaws drive us unnecessarily. I mean, we're just talking about a 3-month postponement of the annual general meeting and the election. And I don't think that's very much. And I think that psychologically it gives us some time to work on building a strong board. I think having 2 elections is sort of fracturing. I think it's unnecessarily distracting. But argue with me, Gail.
Oh, we're not going to have 2 elections, but the bylaws say we have to have elections in May. But if we don't have a quorum, we can't have elections in May. Therefore, we will have 1 election, and it would be August.
Okay, well, how do we keep from having a quorum?
The quorum needs to be, we have to have board positions. We need a treasurer, a secretary, a chair, co-chair, and if those positions aren't filled, we don't have elections in May.
Yeah, our bylaws don't really say that, though. Lisa, what is your commentary?
Well, my comment is, I think it makes sense to not go afoul of the I'm so sorry, my brain has locked up.
The bylaws.
That we should follow the bylaws to the extent that we can. So it does not seem to me that we should make a resolution right now saying we're not going to have our election when the election is planned, if that's what our bylaws say. I think we can get to May and determine that as a board, we need to move it to August. I mean, because if people show up at the May meeting and say they want to be on the board, likely we will accept their application, right? So we could do that
But
without
so
having an election.
How do we advertise the May meeting then? I mean, it's all or nothing. I mean,
okay, good point. Good point. I just, it concerns me the idea of going afoul of the bylaws, but I'm not a voting member, so that's just my thought about it.
It's definitely a catch-22 situation. Any answer will be wrong. We just have to make the best of it.
So maybe we just proceed as normal and, hold, if we have, the right number of members, we will hold elections in May. And if we don't have enough, then we'll postpone until August.
Yes.
And that makes it difficult.
We could still advertise that May is going to be the election. And I mean, either we'll have people who want to run at that point or not. And we could still say, we're going to admit you to the board and we're going to have the election in August. Right?
Well, it'll be one or the other.
I'm saying we wouldn't have an election. We could say to those people, we are welcoming you onto the board, but we're not going to have an election. But we're making a decision as a board to have the election in August.
We could do that. That would be a kind of compromise, Gail.
Yeah.
So we can advertise, and we can admit, and then have a formal election in August. Okay.
As I recall, last year, did we have any applicants? They weren't beaten down the door in May.
No, they were not. No, and we do advertise it and so on. Yeah, I mean, one of the problems we're up against is lack of neighborhood knowledge about the BDNA and possibly lack of enthusiasm. We're going to find out as we talk to people. All right. We'll advertise and we can admit new people to the board in May. And then we'll formally have elections in August. And if we don't have the positions filled by May, and I don't expect to, I mean, I'm still staying on top of everything. We are absolutely up to date on every single thing. So there's not the structure, the organization is not at risk of falling behind or of getting in trouble with its finances or anything like that. So I personally like this idea that we will advertise, we will admit new people in May, and then Gail, you have already committed to continuing as a board member. Derek will continue up and through July. Kim, will you commit to staying on the board?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. And then I'll be on the board through September. And then I will be there. I will be around as a supporter and advisor after that. Okay, well, so all right. Then why don't we say that? I'm not going to try to revise this right now. I mean, we're just gonna get rid of this, right? I mean, I will reword it and send it out to us. And then if there are any objections to the way I've got it when you see it in the email, then we can fix that. And do we want to aspire to a certain number of directors by August?
5.
Well, okay. And so that will have to not include Derek because he will leave at the end of July.
Stephanie, why do we have to aspire to any number? We have to meet the requirements of the bylaws. And obviously, if we can get 15 or 20 board members, we probably want them all. But There's not a strong likelihood of that.
Right. Well, we have 4 board members now, and we don't have people to fill the offices. So I was thinking maybe we wanted more, but this is not real critical. If we have 5 or more, then we can continue as an organization because our bylaws say 5 or more, 5 to 21 or 17 or something.
Right, and all the board members can't be members at large. Board members need to take on some responsibilities.
Okay, well, we'll be talking about that as we get closer to August 1st. Okay, so I will rewrite this part here and send it out to you, and then we can comment on what I've written and get it perfect, and then that will guide us then. Okay, but I won't try to do it now. All right. So speaking of board members, then, and I'm going to stop sharing right now. Anna Cox has very kindly, generously offered to apply for membership on our board as to begin with, a director at large. So Anna, would you like to say a few things about yourself and what you would aspire to as a board member? And thank you. Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Stephanie. So, like I said, I am the president of the Lane PTA, and I have lived just north of Duke by about a block and a half, maybe if it's short blocks. And we've lived in our house now for about 9 years. I have spent, I would say, most of my time at parks and things up at Brentwood Darlington. I work as a speech and language pathologist for my job. So between that and the being the president of the PTA, I think my biggest interest is probably education and creating events for families, increasing participation of families, and helping to make sure that our community is meeting the needs of our families. I'm really hoping if you do accept me to be on the board, that I would be a member at large, because my duties over at Lane PTA are pretty time consuming. I think a big portion of what I would do is just making sure that BDNA and Lane Middle School are working together, and that you would know what's going on at Lane Middle School, the events that we're having. And I would also be able to report back the events that BDNA is having, and we could work together. So some things like neighborhood cleanups, different events throughout the year. And I think just trying to support each other. I think that's probably the biggest part of what I would do. Does that sound good?
Yes, and Gail, could you speak for a moment to past practice? I think you were telling me that BDNA used to have a standing. Could you say something about that?
We've had members be lane liaisons. I was one for like 4 years. But yeah, that's one of our subcommittee designations is middle school liaison. The Sun School director has been it. The principal was it for 1 year. We've had teachers, we've had PTA, so it's definitely something that we do.
Well, I'm kind of excited at the prospect of building a strong partnership with Lane and doing mutual benefits. We can probably make use of the community center for some of those events, and we need to build up use in the community center. And Anna would be very knowledgeable about what's going on at Lane and could keep us informed. You know, we haven't really had that kind of information coming in for several years now. And Lane's become a mystery to us. Yeah. So you can demystify and tell and help us set up cooperative ways though, where we can do mutual benefit, but especially we want to benefit the school. So but I want to see, as Lisa and others of us want, we want to see that community center used more. And so, you know, if we can bring that aspect in, that will be great. All right. Well, I think I personally would support considering Anna Cox as a member at large of our board. So I propose I move that we adopt or that we approve her application to join our board. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gail. All right. Let me poll the members. Remember, that's all of us, not just board members. Kim?
Aye.
Okay. Gail, you're an aye. Derek?
Aye.
Very fine. Lisa?
Aye.
Good. Tina?
Aye.
All right. Very fine. Linda? Are you there, Linda Goldser?
I'm fine with that also.
Okay. All right. Fine. And I also support her joining us as a member at large. So I think, do I hearing no objections or discussions, then Anna, we welcome you. Thank you very much for joining us. And I will later, starting next week, I'll get with you and give you the roster and some other information to get you going. And I appreciate your saying that you will remain a member at large because you are working, you're the PTA president, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a homeowner, you've got plenty going on. So you have lots to offer us by just being our liaison with Lane. That will be huge.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And who knows, maybe at some point, I could take on an office, but I'm anticipating that I'll be the president next year and then probably an officer again. So yeah, as long as I'm the president of Lane PTA, it's pretty time consuming.
No, that makes every kind of sense. But do keep in mind, if you meet some people along the way who could make use of our wealth of tools. You know, we've got liability insurance, we've got the venue with the community center, free use. We have wonderful communication system with a MailChimp, and we have a upgraded website. And Stephanie Torgerson of Lane Middle School is going to spiff up the appearance of our Facebook page. Lisa has been helping with the posting. And, you know, we have a lot of tools to help people accomplish things. So if you hear people that they want something to happen, you could say, well, you know, head over to the BDNA because they have what you need. So
yes.
You can be our member at large, but just be watchful for everyone around you, for possible other board members, okay?
All right, definitely. Thank you.
Very fine. All right. Well, thank you. Welcome. And we're delighted to have you. Now, will you please stay for the board meeting? Your first chore. Okay, very fine. All right. All right. Let us go back to our agenda. Actually, I don't need to go back to it, but we are now to exploring Brentwood Darlington with Scott Mars. Do you pronounce it Mars or Maris? Scott, can't hear you. Okay.
It's Mares. Mars or Mares, it works either way for me.
I see.
It's Spanish.
Okay, very fine.
It means seas or oceans or anyway. Well, my name is Scott Mars, and recently I have started a new business out of my home, Northwest Exterior Washing, where I provide services for exterior washings for the home. I clean roofs, I soft wash roofs, I soft wash houses, clean gutters, brighten gutters, and wash fences. And I also do power washing. And that would be like your steps, your pathways, your driveways, and things like that.
Oh, so how did you get into this line of work?
Well, I needed a side gig because what I do professionally, I'm an exercise physiologist by trade, and there's just not that many positions here. And the position I had at Providence closed up, and so I took some of my clients on the road, and so I do private training with them, and I needed to supplement that. And I got a pressure washer for Christmas to clean my car and my bike, and I was like, I need to leverage this and do this. I was wondering if I could start cleaning other things, and so I started looking into it, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do that.
All right. So have you made much of a penetration into the local market?
I actually have. I've done quite a few houses, and it's just word of mouth. I've done in the Brentwood Darling area, I've done 3 houses. And I'm also being pulled into maybe 4. I don't know the border of Brentwood Darling, but and then I've also been pulled into Northeast, and I got a couple more homes I got to do next week.
And are you still pursuing your main main profession? Oh,
I am.
okay.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for a position to open up at Legacy Emmanuel in their cardiac rehab. So I do this as mainly a side gig. But if it turns into something, it's I hear we got moss here in Oregon, so
I was just going to ask you, what is your biggest challenge?
it's the biggest challenge is actually getting to talk to people about their roof and getting the moss off their roof, because most people can't see their roof, so it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And then getting them to like actually take action and take care of their roofs. Nobody really, and the funny thing is that the wind here, it blows and you don't see, unless you go out to your car. I don't know if everybody's gone out to their car recently and seen all the pollen that's on their car, but there's lots of pollen there, and that collects on your house as well. And so I would ask everybody just to go out and take your hand and just like touch the side of your house and see, how what your hand looks like after you've touched the side of your house. And so, especially if you have vinyl fencing or vinyl siding, and the vinyl fencing is really rewarding because like they turn green over the winter, and they get that algae on them and a little bit of moss and some stuff on them, and once you treat it, it just clears right up. It just turns white like brand new.
Okay. Well, would you put your phone number and your website URL in the chat?
Yeah, sure.
And to disclose, I asked Scott to help me at my house, but it was after I signed him up to be on Exploring BD. So he didn't have to do a good job in order to get into the forum. Okay, Kim, you have a question?
Full confession, Scott's my old neighbor. I lived across from his family for several years. We're still friends. So I'm happy to see you at the meeting, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah.
I may be calling you. I'm afraid to touch the pollen though with my hand, because I know after that I'm just going to touch my face.
I have a problem now. Every time how everybody's looking at their phone when they drive, I'm looking at roofs now. I'm just driving along and I'm like,
oh, now you're a dangerous driver. Okay, well, that's not good. Good. Wow. Okay. All right, let's stop now. We got to move on. Thank you very much, Scott. We'll put a takeaway to our MailChimp list, and maybe you'll get some more houses out of that.
sounds great.
Okay, thank you. And
No
thank you for my brilliant white fence, a clean roof. The fence is now white again, so I'm very pleased.
All right, you guys have a good evening.
Okay, thanks. All right, you too. That's funny, Kim, that you know him. Okay, I want to get back to our agenda again. Oops. Okay. Where are we? Okay, that was exploring Brentwood Darlington. All right, we don't have anyone here from Black Futures Farm or Master Gardeners, but I mean from Woodstock. So I'd love to hear from Linda quickly about what's going on with the garden.
Okay, well, April brings flowers, and we have many blooms at the garden. It's very beautiful this time of the year. If you can grab a sunny day, and we also have our edible crops that have all been planted, and we are full into that growing season. Very soon we will start having we'll start being able to harvest and donate, and which we do, to the Woodstock Food Pantry and to
the Francis Center.
Yes, the Francis Center. Thank you. And everyone is welcome to come and visit the garden. We're open Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to noon, and some Saturdays. And it just so happens that every week that goes by, the garden gets more beautiful and the weather gets better, and it's just a lovely place to be. You can stop by. We won't make you work. You can enjoy the garden, bring your lunch, sit down, and just enjoy yourself. Bring your questions, your garden questions, and there are plenty of master gardeners there who can answer any question that you have. And that's all I have to say right now.
Well, thank you, Linda. And I can certainly attest to the wonderfulness of the garden, and I'll be showing up again soon. Came for quite a few volunteer days last year, and it was beautiful and welcoming. The people are so nice, and it's very interesting. Once you start looking closely at what is growing, it becomes obsessive. It can become addictive. You have to go out and look at all the different carrots that are growing in the different mixes and see what's doing well, and go check the blackberries. And oh my God, it's really nice. So I highly recommend it to everybody. Okay, so thank you very much, Linda. And now let's just go to a few items of public interest real fast, and then we'll hear from Ms. Tam on her street situation. I'm going to share screen again so we can see the okay. I'm looking for, oh, here it is. Okay, I beg your pardon, it moved around. That's not what I want.
Stephanie, while you're finding that, can I say one more thing? I forgot.
Sure, go right ahead.
On April 20th, the Learning Gardens Lab has their Earth Day event, just off of 60th, right across from Lane Middle School. And the Master Gardeners will have a table, an Ask a Master Gardener table, where any questions can be asked, gardening questions. And we also have a table where we will be giving away free mason bee houses that were made and donated by the shop students at Franklin High School. And we will also have very many free seed packets that were donated by local nurseries. So, and that event is Saturday, April 20th from 11 to 3. Hope to see you there.
Okay, Saturday, the 20th of April from 11 to 3. Okay, fine. I will, we'll put out a notice on that. Very good. All right. Okay, so very quickly, items of public interest. If any of you have driven down Southeast 52nd Avenue from Flavel down to Harney, you may have noticed that there was a change made to the use of the intersection. And that was that this little teeny sign that said, anyone turning right as they're going downhill. Anyone turning right did not have to stop. They could just go around the corner and keep going. So PBOT removed that little sign and hung some flags around the stop sign and then took the flags down. And so all the people who are used to the old way are still, they're still considering that there's been no change. And I think it's Eric Wyckoff wrote to the city, and then I've chimed in too that it's not a good situation, that it's not clear to people that there's been a change because it's the same stop sign. It just doesn't have that little metal announcement below it that used to be there. But those of us who are so used to going around the corner we don't even look at it now because we're used to this. I look at it. Here's Matthew. I look at it because I know what was going. So I stop. But today, okay, Kim, yes.
I don't want to interrupt you. You can finish, but I just have questions about that stop sign.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, today I was driving down the hill and there was a monster black pickup right behind me, inches behind me. And I was going the speed limit, 25, which was not the black monster's speed limit. And our idea of how fast that hill should be driven. And when I stopped at the stop sign, this guy leaned on the horn, and it was very intimidating and angering to me. And so I chimed in with Eric Wyckoff's request to PBOT to please make it obvious that the stop situation has changed at the bottom of the hill. And so, because what I wanted to do was put in a gigantic stop sign that's 5 feet across and brand new and unavoidable, right? But Brian Poole, one of the transportation planners, pointed out they're going to put, I guess, speed humps all the way down the hill and mark lanes better and put in some rubber bumper things at the bottom at the intersection there to mark where the intersections are. Okay, I thought I admitted Matthew. Matthew, are you in now? Okay, well, I don't hear him. Okay, so anyway, that PBOT is hoping to put in its humps and lane paintings and rubber bumpers in May. So that's coming right up. So maybe that will help. Okay, Kim.
So what prompted this? Because, you clearly have to slow down to make the turn. I get that, I'm sure there's speeding issues. That's everywhere. And especially you're going downhill. And I know we all know they had the photo vans there intermittently. And I don't, for the record, speed down the hill. But what prompted the change? It's not like a high crash corridor. I'm only curious because there's so many other terrible areas they've ignored. Like what prompted that change? That's my
I don't know. Gail? What?
I know.
What?
There was a meeting last year, and it was connected to an Errol Heights meeting, and they asked, what can we do to make this intersection safer? And everybody there said, we need stop sign. People go flying down the hill, flying around the corner, and it's a high crash corridor. So that's why we now have a stop sign.
So have there been an unusual number of crashes there?
It's
I've never
a
seen
lot of near misses. Let's put it that way.
because that other street isn't even busy. It's just a residential street. I see far more accidents on Duke and 72nd, fatal.
Oh
fatal
yeah,
accidents.
Duke and 72nd is terrible.
And they've done nothing.
No, they haven't.
You know, in fact, the other day there was a gentleman, an older gentleman, whose truck died. He lost all power on 72nd. And I was going to that little mini mart, and all I could think of is this guy is going to get hit and killed. So the owner of the mini mart came out with me, and we helped him push the truck. And thankfully, another
Oh,
car
are you? Oh my
kind of
God.
blocked. Another car blocked the roadway, but it was just like one of those things where it was dark. You could not even see his truck, and you just knew like any minute somebody coming was just going to run full on into it. But
Oh my
anyway,
God.
yeah, that intersection's terrible.
It is.
Stephanie, I don't know if you saw in the chat, but we're past 7:30.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, okay, so two more items of interest. All right, we'll have to come back to this, people. But I don't know. I mean, Kim, I can, well, I probably won't have time to look into the crash thing. I realize that Duke and 72nd is more dangerous. I don't know why, why that this area got more attention. I know it got a lot of attention in
Well,
the
I think, Gail will explain what happened. Yeah.
Parks wanted a stop sign
Yeah.
so that people would not go flying past Errol Heights and flying around the corner.
Right.
Like,
And there was a meeting that got the attention to get it done. So that makes sense. Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay, very fine. All right, let's hear from Katie Tam of Woodstock. I'll stop sharing here. Katie, why don't you go ahead and tell us what's going on there? And I have a photograph I can show in a moment.
Okay. There's a block between Southeast 47th and 48th on Henry Street, which is right in between Woodstock and Brentwood Darlington. This block has over the years just been kind of a mud pit. It was not, I was not able to drive through it. Most cars, unless you were like in an SUV, four-wheel drive, couldn't get through it. And so the neighbors, they kind of came together and they blocked it off for vehicles and made like this really nice pedestrian pathway through. They knew that it was like a safe routes to school designated priority investment route. And so they were kind of like, well, we'll just kind of get this started. No, not knowing that, you know, the funding for that is hit or miss. So that's probably something that PBOT eventually will fund, but hasn't yet. So they had blocked it off a couple of years ago. And then the city just this last January sent them a letter to say, you need to reopen it for vehicles. And so they removed everything. And now it's already back to the same muddy mess where cars are literally getting towed out daily, maybe not daily, but definitely weekly. There's been like a UPS truck that's gotten stuck. This car, one of the neighbors texted me to be like, there's a car getting towed again. So I ran down to take pictures. It's not even like an unimproved gravel road. It's just dirt and mud. And it turns into these ruts that you can't even get through. And so the neighbors had put like bark all along that middle area. And it was like a really nice, easy way to get to Lewis School from the other side. In this area, most of the streets going east-west are gravel, unimproved roads with no sidewalks. So having this one road through that you could easily walk on and get from one side to the other, it was really nice to have. And so it's been kind of a pain that it's been reopened. So I'm on the Woodstock Neighborhood Association board. And so I kind of reached out to the neighbors because I knew it had been blocked off and then it was reopened all of a sudden. And so I kind of reached out to just see what was going on. And they let me know they had to reopen it. So we kind of reached out to PBOT to see like, would it be possible to, make this back into a pedestrian pathway again? And so I got an email from someone at PBOT today saying that if the Woodstock Neighborhood Association, the Brentwood Darlington Neighborhood Association, if they wrote letters of support, and then they would reach out to Lewis to see if Lewis was on board. And then the neighbors in that area would all need to sign on as well. Then they would block it off to vehicles and allow it to be like a pedestrian pathway again.
Okay, Katie, stop just a second. Thank you, Gail.
According to PDOT, and I've had this conversation with them a lot, that is technically an alley, excuse the quotey fingers, and it has to remain an open street unless, as you say, you jump through lots of hoops. Yeah, good luck. I'm still waiting for Cooper to have something done to it.
Right, Kim.
Question, do any of the neighbors use that street to get to their parking spots?
They do not.
So that's not a place where the homeowners, whether or not current or future homeowners, would drive to park their car. Okay.
No.
The second thing I have, Stephanie, was more for you. Do you remember when they were talking about, and you'll know because you're heavily involved in this, the planned areas for bike routes that they were looking at when they were going to do some major development in this area?
This might be something that Matthew knows about. Matthew, what do you know? Can you be a little bit more specific, Kim?
So what was the major funding that came through?
Regional flex funds from Metro government to do the multimodal links in Brentwood Darlington. I think is correct.
I think so. It was something. I don't remember the name, but I know that they talked about
the greenway is that the greenway that's supposed to go between 82nd and 52nd between Duke and it runs east-west between Flavel and Duke. That's our major bike thing in Brentwood Darlington.
Well, that one will be on Tolman.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. I just knew it was a major project they were starting to undertake, and they were going to make more kind of pedestrian and transit, like bike friendly areas, like that kind of we're winding through the neighborhood a bit.
We're kind of asking for this to be like a temporary, just like a pedestrian pathway temporarily until like permanent infrastructure is built. Yeah. Does that make sense? Because like one block over on Tolman, that's where they are supposed to do the neighborhood greenway.
Okay.
But who knows when that will actually be, implemented. Yeah. This is kind of like we're hoping, and we're hoping in the meantime, like, just to have a pedestrian pathway through this area. And like I said, it is a designated safe routes to school route. And so it would just really help a lot of kids and families be able to get to school easier.
I'm wondering if it's too late to see if they'll include that as part of a pathway to the school or something. Like long term, not immediate needs, but long term.
Let me see.
That way maybe more resources would be put into making it look nice rather than, the neighbors having to purchase, items in the mulch. You know what I mean?
The person at PBOT in their email to me told me that let's see, there's an unfunded Safe Routes to School project to construct a shared use path from Southeast 46 to Southeast 49 in this area. So it would include that block, but it's just unfunded and it's just planned, but again, no funding. So I don't know when that will happen, if it will happen.
Okay, so Katie, what you need from us, or what you're seeking, is a letter of support. And I think you've provided a letter with wording the words.
I've included our letter. I sent that to you.
Right.
And even just something simple that is, you know, we're on board to support this road, this pedestrian pathway on this road would be great if y'all are, you know.
Okay, board members and members at large. What do you think? I didn't make a motion yet. Okay. I mean, I personally, I know exactly the area she's talking about, and it was a delightful little path.
Mm-hmm.
No cars were allowed, and it was wonderful. We have too many, from my point, I personally feel that we cater to the cars too much, way too much.
Yeah.
This was a lovely place, and now you see what's happened to it. It's just a marsh with just a muddy marsh. So
it's unusable for anyone, you know,
yeah.
You can't even walk on it anymore. You can't even drive, you know, they reopened it for, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not going to pull up your letter, but let me just ask the board and members at large. This is a membership meeting. All right, I move that we write a letter of support in order to be friends with our friends here in Woodstock, no, to help their effort along, because we can walk there too, and it was a beautiful path. All right, I move that we provide a letter of support urging PBOT, it's PBOT, right,
Yes.
To redesignate this this stretch of road as something that's fit for human beings. Well, we'll use her word. We'll use Katie's wording, but that's my motion.
I second.
Do I hear a second? I didn't hear.
Second.
Okay. All right. All right. And do I hear any opposition to this motion? Okay, just a second, Matthew. I'll call on you. All right. Well, then I consider the motion adopted. I'll put together a letter on our stationery and provide it to Katie. And what is the deadline on this?
Just I would say, you know, in the next week or two would be.
Yeah. Okay. Great. It's not like it's not tomorrow. Okay. No. Good. All right. Yeah. Okay, Matthew.
Sorry, I have to get the unmute button. But that's a great point. That is safe route to school. That crossing there at Henry and 46, I believe, is part of a safe routes investment in recent years. And so, yeah, I think this is a great thing. And I know Woodstock is on board for that Oregon Walks Coalition letter to help direct PSEF funds to safe routes to school projects, which is you identify as unfunded right now at PBOT. And so if Brentwood Darlington neighborhood has in their capacity tonight, I would urge them all to motion on to sign on to that letter of support to allocate excess PSEF funds to funding safe routes to schools, such as this one.
Okay, very fine. Thank you, Matthew. And real fast, the Lower Southeast Rising planning document is going to City Council on April 25th. We've worked hard over the years helping make that thing happen. It's a good document. It can be used in the future to divert investment into Brentwood Darlington for more transportation infrastructure and to help draw in businesses and so on. So I want to make sure that we speak up to the City Council in support of this. I'm asking, I move to the board that we send a letter of support for our Lower Southeast Rising plan that has been so many months, over 2 years now in the making. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Gail. Any discussion? All right. Any objections? Okay, hearing none, I would say that we have adopted it. Thank you very much. I will work on our 2 letters. Okay, Woodstock and TGM. Okay, very fine. All right, we're way over meeting time, so I need to call a stop to the general meeting and go into the board meeting, please. We will the part that we didn't, the public comment part, we're just going to have to skip it this time. We've got a list of things to go on future agendas, and we will address those. All right, so I am going to bring up the board agenda now. Here we go. Oh, anyway, Katie, thank you very much. And you're very welcome to stay and listen to our board meeting, or if you have better things to do, you may retire.
Thank you so much.
So whatever you like to do, but thank you very much. We're going to support you in this. All right. Okay, let's go over the agenda quickly. All right, we will launch the meeting. We'll approve the agenda. Oops, I've got the wrong, I'm sorry, the wrong agenda. Hold on. Sorry about that. You know, as I'm clicking on these different documents, okay, hold on. Here we go. All right. I think that's just where they are in the screen. I beg your pardon. All right. So can you see this board agenda now? I'll put the wording, make the wording larger. All right, fine. Okay, we will go over the agenda. The meeting is being recorded. We'll note which directors are present, as well as members, visitors, and guests. All right, so we know who's present now. Okay. At our last meeting, Matthew advised us that even though we didn't have enough, we didn't have didn't meet the minimum requirement for number of directors, we could still continue to conduct work as long as we reported our actions at future meetings. So at this last meeting, here are some of our actions to report to you, and I'll go over those in a moment. Then I want to give you some updates on the BDCC, and we need to consider 2 applications for use at the BDCC. I'd like Tina to help me wrap up our wonderful Spring Green event. Then I want to get your opinion about meeting in person and using a hybrid meeting approach in May, starting with the May meeting. So we start using the BDCC again. And then a few weeks ago, I asked you board members and advisors, what BDNA should work on and what would be your dream project. And I would like to go over those. Please, they're wonderful responses. I want to consider having Vivian Shung as an advisor. She's agreed that she can be an advisor for us, but she is not able to serve on the board. And then we have the minutes to approve. I'd like to show you the March Treasurer's Report. It's very positive. And then if there's any other business, we can note it for future considerations, and then we can adjourn. So how does this agenda strike you? I move that it be adopted as is, but are there any changes proposed? Okay, do I have a second? Okay, Gail, thank you. Put up a 2. All right. Hearing no objections, and I assume that we all approve of this agenda. All right. So to report on what we've done in the past when we didn't have enough board members, and now we do. We have a quorum of 5 board members. Thank you, Anna. Thank you very much. At the board meeting of March 3rd, we approved the Brentwood Darlington Book Club as a sponsored by BDNA. And then, co-sponsorship means that we are working with another group. So we are co-sponsoring the book club, which is its own entity, but very much part of our community. And we approved the book club as a co-sponsored group eligible to use the BDCC with full insurance coverage. We accepted the resignation of Vivian Shung. We approved the resolution amended Oh, this does, we approve the resolution that we amended this evening. We just didn't amend it the way I thought we were going to, but that is just fine. And I will be sending that out to you. We approved a new schedule of meetings through September 2024. So that omits the July meeting, but institutes the August meeting. So we'll meet May, June, August, September. We approved the minutes of February 2024. We accepted the treasurer's reports of January and February 2024. Okay, so a little bit of update on the BDCC. Impact Northwest has applied for a planning grant to the PSEF fund, the City of Portland, and I feel that we have a very, very high chance of getting that money. And that will set us on an excellent course for getting the building rehabbed and the three parts of our vision fully supported. Parham Gardens has signed a little agreement with Impact Northwest directly. I kind of oversaw them for 3 weeks or so to make sure that they settled in okay, and they did great. And so they are now operating on their own in direct contract with Impact Northwest. And they have their own insurance, so they don't need us to supply their liability insurance. Now then, we've had various applications for the free use of the BDCC. You know, Impact Northwest assigned us or gave us hours that were at our disposal. So we became responsible for whoever we allow to whoever we approve to use those hours. And there have been some real challenges there. You know, we're like the little sub-directors. Impact is the main director, and we're sub-directors with our own little kingdom of hours, which are weekday evenings and then one Saturday afternoon a month. It turns out that this is treacherous territory. For example, one person wanted to start up a children's group, and this was going to be without parents. And she had some nice activities approved for them, or I mean, planned for them. But I learned from Southeast Uplift that there are some very strict responsibilities associated with that. I mean, we would have to buy extra insurance, not over and above the liability insurance. And we would have to have someone from BDNA be there at every meeting of this class to make sure that the children stay safe. And this was going to be way too much for us. So we told this person, no, we can't do it. And we had a challenge with Parham Gardens in that it's kind of a Portland-wide entity and not based in the neighborhood, solely in our neighborhood. So we decided that what they had to offer, I mean, could certainly be, you know, a wonderful thing for, and some of the people who participate in Parham Gardens live in our neighborhood. And so we decided that that was okay. We could be their co-sponsor for to start with, but then you know, we turned them over to Impact. So now we're not responsible for them. So you know, we have to decide, is something that's metropolitan wide or city wide, is that really a BDNA organization? You know, that's another question. And then tonight we're going to be looking at another problem, which is somebody's running a business. Are we going to recommend that they have use of the BDCC free and free insurance and so on? You know, I look at that quite askance. You know, that's not the point of our hours and of our community center, as far as I'm concerned. So let's go on and look at the two applicants for this evening. The application by Marian Dixon, and I attached reports to the to our agenda. I hope you've read them. You know, she described that she does Tai Chi and something else. I've forgotten how to pronounce it. Qigong, maybe. Um, and she's essentially running a business. She said that she has neighbors who are very interested in taking her class, and she's applied to have to use the BDC free once a week, ongoing. So here's her, let's see, where's her application? Let's see that, page 7. Okay, here's her application. She's saying teach Qigong Tai Chi classes to Brentwood Darlington neighbors for a small sliding scale. She said these are moving. See, I wonder if I can make this bigger. Well, she goes into the benefits of these things and says that when they're practiced together, they build a sense of shared purpose and connection. She used one a Monday or Tuesday evening. And she said that we asked her, how does your program align with our purposes? Moving and breathing together in Qigong and Tai Chi creates a sense of inclusion and belonging for BD neighbors. It creates connections to the land, each other, and ourselves as we tap into our vitality, strength, balance, and breath.
Okay, can I say something? Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay, so we want the community center to be a place where we could have classes like this, right? Place for people to go and do activities. I'm sure you know, people who, if we were to say, hey, we'll pay someone from our funds X amount an hour once a week to put on a karate class for kids. I don't know, whatever. So do we want to just automatically dismiss these types of requests, or do we want to take into account that maybe it would provide something for neighbors to go to in the neighborhood?
You're making a very good point.
You know?
There's an alternative. And I talked about this with Impact Northwest. I said, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we've got a business applying to us. And Andy Nelson said, send them to us. I mean, they're the real managers of the building. And so they can, I think, better contract with a small business, but then offer this this class. And maybe they're going to want to use one of our evenings, but maybe we would acquiesce in that. But we wouldn't be responsible for them. But so it would still allow them to exist. So I think you're right. We do a match. I'll call on you in just a second. We do want programs offered there. My hesitation is our little role. Do we get involved with businesses? And she wanted to pay us money too. And I said no. We have no legal interest in the BDCC. I mean, we don't have any part of title to it or anything. You know, we can't accept money to. But I mean, so that was fine. I mean, that we could just get rid of that part easily.
So if Impact Northwest said send them that way, I would do that.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to dismiss them out of hand, but I don't want to be responsible for.
No. And the other thing is, if we approved something like this, I definitely want to see a pricing scale.
Okay, fine. That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, that's a very good point.
Want it to be something affordable for members of the community and not just somebody who's charging, you know, $50 a session. But Machu has his hand up also.
Okay, Machu, go ahead, and then Tina.
Yeah, I just want to point out that the Southeast Uplift Insurance Policy, which Brentwood Darlington is also a member of, doesn't cover vendors. So all the more reason to defer them to Impact Northwest, whose insurance policy might provide that coverage. I would hate to give like a false sense of your bases are covered when that's not the case. similarly, like you identified, Stephanie, we don't have molestation insurance policy, which is why there always has to be an adult present with children under 18, unless Impact or some other group has that kind of coverage, even though it's not a best practice. So that was my only comment. Thank you. You're on the right path, Stephanie. Just saying that.
Thank you, Matthew. No, but I agree with Kim's point. We want to offer programs and so on. Tina, go ahead.
So between the insurance and the fact that we do want to offer programs, but our insurance doesn't cover it. The other, I really don't think that we need to be supporting businesses that kind of goes against our purpose. But the other thing to consider is whoever is sitting in the chair position has to be willing to go with the key. And so for another organization to be, hey, we want to use your time, your space, and we want to have you give up some of your time to bring the key and have a board member be present to make sure the building gets locked up afterwards. These are things to consider every time one of these events is held.
Thank you, Tina. Yeah, I think I need to talk to Impact Northwest about maybe getting a second key that could be shared amongst the programs that we approve, and they can help one another. And the other thing is, Annie Nelson, I asked him what their liability insurance covered. He said covers their staff, but he said, but you've raised a very interesting question, and we believe that we can extend our liability insurance to cover users of the like renters. I mean, that like this business, this Kong and Tai Chi person could be covered under they could be additionally insured under Impact's insurance. So then Impact is operating as like a community center director. I mean, they're extending their what they do, and so I'm going to ask him to please do that. Please additionally insure programs like this one, so that we can have it. Okay, Matthew.
Thanks. The other thought there too is like, they'll want to do their due diligence and check their insurance policy, but the way that usually works is like Impact Northwest staff would be present at the event potentially. So that's something for them to figure out. The other thing is, when that Lower Southeast Rising area plan gets adopted, Brentwood Darlington will have a new neighborhood center and the opportunity for a new business district association, which does not yet exist. So Brentwood Darlington, could play a part in figuring out a name with the community for it. And, Southeast Uplift and Venture Portland could work on formalizing a new business district association who could take on some of those more commercial business-oriented operations in your neighborhood, including things maybe at the community center if they extend their service area over into that vicinity. Things to consider, because I don't want a volunteer-run group such as yourselves to overburden yourselves with these kind of considerations when it's kind of the realm of a business district association, which should be formed. Just something to consider as we're talking through this.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Matthew. Okay. Well, so I'd like us to vote on whether to co-sponsor this. Gail, go ahead.
I fully agree that we should use the community center as much as possible. However, I don't think we should be responsible, and I think going through Northwest Impact is the better idea.
Okay, I personally like that idea myself. It's one thing to support the artisan market or the crafters circle or the book club, because those are volunteer efforts that come out of the community. And that's a very different situation than a little business like this. And so I will, but I need a vote on this. Should we, maybe I should say, should I construct a motion to say we recommend, or we move that that this Marion Dixon be directed to apply to Impact Northwest for use of the community center. Go ahead, Gail.
Is there any way for someone from the community center and one of us and our applicant to get together for a meeting and discuss it?
What would BDNA's role be there?
Well, if they can get the building somewhat affordably, we could get bypassed altogether and not have to worry about it. If we can broker a deal between the community center and her so that she gets maybe a discount.
Okay, or yeah, all right, I see what you're saying.
Thank you.
Let me talk to Andy Nelson about it. I mean, they're not charging, Impact Northwest is not charging Parham Gardens to use the building.
Right.
And so maybe but that Parham is a nonprofit.
Right.
This is a little business. So maybe, so the question is, we don't want to charge Marion Dixon so much that she can't hold her class. Right. She can't offer it to the community because, right, you know, we agree with Kim that we want things to be offered. Yes. And eventually, when we have funding for a director that includes insurance for people and so on, we won't have to be in this business of being in charge of picking and choosing who gets to use the hours we've been given. This is a unique situation here that
if she
way more stressful than I thought it was going to be. That
offered to pay, which I think is what you said, she offered to pay us, but if she offers to pay Northwest Impact, again, win-win.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I move then that we refer Marion Dixon to Impact Northwest with the condition that the chair will speak with the executive director and negotiate a means of making it possible for this class to occur. Okay, that's a very wordy.
That's beautiful.
How does that sound? Is that okay?
That's beautiful. I second.
Okay, Anna, you have a comment.
I was going to say that when you do meet with them, would it be possible to discuss the charge of the $10 to $15 per session? I think that clarifying that and clarifying that there may be some people who would want to participate that wouldn't even be able to pay that. So.
Right. I think that Tina was commenting at one point, when we were first discussing this, that this was a little high for our neighborhood. And if this person is claiming to, you know, be offering.
And I think it is not that expensive for a class. I mean, I've looked into taking yoga classes and been shocked at how much, you know, they were $30 a session.
Oh, really?
40 wow. Even. Yeah. So, but I think like just maybe asking if there's some way to offer scholarships or I don't know, something, bringing that up.
Okay, fine. All right. So we will talk with Impact Northwest about the fee to rent, and then at whatever meeting this is, we'll also ask Ms. Dixon to make the class affordable through various.
This is Lisa. I've had my hand up for a while.
I'd like to
suggest. It's okay. I would just like to suggest that if we're going to support this, it needs to be sliding scale.
Okay, so
it needs to be possible for people to attend for a very nominal fee, because we have a very socioeconomically diverse neighborhood, and if we're really serving everybody, people should be able to come for $5.
Okay, so I think that's a good way to approach it, that we say to her, all right, we need a sliding scale that matches the capability of the neighborhood. And if you can commit to that, then we'll recommend you to Impact Northwest. Does that sound good? How about Anna?
It does. And it also
okay?
strikes me that Impact is clearly not clear about what their insurance covers, because I've been over there when there was a group of teens in a meeting with a staff person. And if they're having teenagers over there, we hope that they have coverage for more than just their staff, right? I mean, they must have other liability coverage, or they should.
Well, maybe he meant groups or people that wouldn't be associated with Impact in any way. They're just there in the building. Maybe it's some birthday party for somebody.
Got it. Okay.
Northwest Portland or something. But I'll clarify that with him. And also I'm going to urge him to get this rider that he talked about, that it would allow them to additionally insure cases like this, Marion Dixon. All right, so I will talk to her, and I think we're all in agreement that we want her to use the building, but not under our auspices. So we're going to refer her to Impact Northwest if she commits to a sliding scale that fits our neighborhood, and then we'll turn her over to Impact Northwest. So they've rented to lots of different people, and they'll know what to do. And Andy Nelson even told me, just, send her to us. And so I think we can work something out here. Thank you all for a very good discussion. This is extremely helpful, and I really appreciate it. Okay, so I moved and Gail seconded it, and so nobody's objected. So I'm just going to assume that this path forward is what we will do. Okay, that we all agree on that. All right, so now we have a second applicant, and this is more in keeping with the kinds of uses that we as the neighborhood association can happily support, because it has to do with the neighborhood. It comes out of the neighborhood. And this is a clothing exchange proposed for a weekend at the BDCC. And here is the application.
And I filled out the application. It's really the second name on the application as the woman who came up with the idea. And I just filled out the form to try to make things easier for her, later realizing I should have had her apply. But in any case, this came from a buy nothing proposal.
Oh, okay.
I said, let's do that at the community center, because I think we want to get stuff happening at the community center. So that's how that came about. So it would be a 4-hour long thing. I think she only wants to do adult clothing for this one, but
okay.
I'd be really happy to sponsor another one for kids at a later date.
Okay. Okay, so all right, so here's the application. We call Neighborhood Clothing Swap, and neighbors, hold on a second. Neighbors from, okay, so I can't read that name of organization putting on activity. Neighbors from Buy Nothing something group.
Facebook group.
Oh, Facebook, okay. Neighbors from Buy Nothing Facebook group, all right. And the activity coordinator is actually Lacey Fulmer, but Lisa Jameson is going to be part of this. So she is the connection with BDNA. And then we have her address and phone number. So if we needed to talk to Lacey Fulmer, we can call Lisa first. And then the description of the activity is neighbors will bring clothing to exchange. And then the proposed date is Sunday, April 21st, noon to 4. So I can't remember whether we were able to settle on a final date or not.
Yes, that date was approved.
Okay.
By Impact.
Oh, right. Yeah. Suddenly Sundays are okay. I was surprised because at one time Russell had said Sundays can never be used. And all of a sudden they can be used. So that's fine. Okay, Kim, go ahead.
What are they going to do with all the leftover clothing that people are going to dump in the room?
She is going to take it all away unless I asked Russell if they wanted to keep any for their clothing closet, and he said he would get back to me.
Okay.
But she has a lot of contacts with, I think she works for somebody that has low income housing, and a lot of them have clothing closets and that kind of thing. So
as long as it's not going to be
loud. She absolutely promised that it will all be taken away, and I second that promise. If she falls through, I'll scrape it up and donate it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, okay, that's a good question. All right, very fine. All right, so we say on our form, activities, events, or programs that BDNA supports must align with BDNA's purpose and vision. How does your event align with the purposes of the BDNA? It strengthens connections in the community. It keeps waste out of the dump and assists lower income and at-risk families with clothing at no cost. So what do you think? It sounds very positive. It's a wonderful use of the BDCC, bring in a lot of people who probably have never been in the building before, and that is something we've got to work on, is raising consciousness about the existence, not only of the BDNA, but also of our wonderful community center. All right, so do we have any comments or objections to this application? Okay, then I move that we co-sponsor the neighborhood clothing swap, which means that we are extending our liability insurance coverage and advertising and other forms of support, like bringing the key, right, to this group. And I think it's a really lovely idea. Do I have a second?
Can I second?
Sure, you can second it. No, you can't because you're not on the board. So we're at the board meeting. So now
sorry.
we have to have a board meeting. How about Anna? You want to second it?
I'll second it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Gail. Let's let Anna have a second. All right, very fine. All right. Any discussion? Do we consider this? We all support this? Kim, are you on board with this?
Yes, I even have a bag of clothes that I've been looking to.
Me too.
Oh, okay.
I save the nicer things to try to donate to good causes. So,
oh, that's really nice.
Maybe I'll stop by.
Do we still have Derek with us?
Yep.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, and what is your opinion of the clothing swap?
Sounds like a good cause.
Okay, very fine.
Yeah.
All right, well then, looks like we all support it. So, all right, well then we consider it approved, and Lacey and Lisa, go for it. Do it.
All right, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, now we're getting towards the bottom of the agenda. And we need to approve the minutes of the March general board and special meetings. Those were all attached with the agenda. Do I have any objections to the meetings? Any revisions to the minutes? Any revisions? Any changes? Did anyone read them? I read them. All right. Hearing no alterations or suggestions advanced, I move that the minutes be approved. Derek, would you like to second?
Sure, I'll second it.
Okay, fine. Do I hear any dissension or votes against? Okay, hearing nothing, I assume that we all approve this. But now there was one thing I wanted to do that I skipped over, and that is to talk about Spring Green 2024. Tina, would you like to give us a roundup of our successes?
So Spring Green, wow, it was an hour shorter than last year, but we doubled our attendance. We brought in probably a sizable amount of money. We did, so our total numbers that I'm aware of is we had 364 people in attendance. We had 13 vendors between the tables, and the e-recycling event collection. At the Bikes for Humanity, we had 21 bikes go through. There was not a time that there were not 3 bikes on the racks being taken care of. They provided a handful of free spare parts to get everybody's bikes up and running. It was fantastic. Soil Oregon had enough people stopping and sitting down, and after asking questions, that they actually did their solar basics workshop 4 times in our 2 hours.
Wonderful.
When they actually agreed to only do it once, it was such a hit and such a requested thing, they did it 4 times. Wow. And our total weight of e-recycling, now keep in mind, e-recycling now is lighter for the bigger pieces. You know, everything's gotten lighter and lighter and lighter. It's not like bringing in a 1970s console, right? But they all take up space. And they ended up filling up their big, huge truck and had stuff left over that they put it in their office staff's car trunk because they ran out of room in the truck. At 5,437 pounds.
Wow.
So all in all, it was a huge success. Everybody was really, really excited and happy and full of energy. I mean, we were kind of tired at the end, but we did so much more in an hour less in-person event time than we did the previous 2 rounds. So Stephanie has the treasurer aspect of it, of the money.
Yeah, I'll show that.
It was awesome.
Right away. Don't give it away. I want to surprise everybody. Okay.
I'm just almost out of phone battery, and I'm going to end up being kicked off before I get it.
Okay, let me share the treasurer's report. Let's see. Hold on just a moment, though. I'm going to have to find it. Here we go. Okay, thank you very much, Tina. And I want to say that you did a fabulous job of conceiving of this idea for Spring Green and tasking it all out, planning it down to the last iota. Just fabulous job. Thank you so much, then. All right, can you see our treasurer's report, everybody? I think Lisa has left us, yes? Okay, that's fine. And, all right, first I want to show that we started the month with $4,200 and we ended the month with $5,375. So we had a net gain despite having some expenses. We had to pay a fee for the Secretary of State filing. We'll get repaid for that from Southeast Uplift. We had MailChimp. I upgraded it. I had to because they stopped sending. We were sending out so many emails in support of Spring Green and other things that we had to go into the upgrade mode in order to keep sending stuff out. And I think I'll leave us there for a couple of months. It's $60 a month, but boy, it really it is a super help to us to have that big email, that big newsletter list. We have the usual storage fee. For Spring Green, we spent for our we had a big recruitment flyer printed. I took out $200 for making change, and we never touched it, so I put it back in. So that's just a zero effect. We spent $63 at Grocery Outlet for healthful snacks, and then Gail, I'll be paying you for the wonderful stuff you got from Safeway and the coffee and so on. And here's the big news. We got $847 in donations from Spring Green. We put a fishbowl on the table, and people were just stuffing money in as fast as we barely were able to record it. We're off by one donation. We're short by one donation, and But otherwise, the frantic bookkeeping of trying to track the donations was very accurate. We were only off by $20, and we were short in the right area. That is, we didn't record one donation. So we had more money in the fishbowl than we had on our piece of paper that we were using. And then Southeast Uplift sent us $750 for our communications. That's up from $500 last year. So we have a net gain in our checking account balance, despite quite a few expenses. So we did really good, really well. Our savings stays at $5, always the same every month. Now, I just want to go over what we have held by Southeast Uplift over in their accounts. We have over $15,000. We have $13,000 from Precision Cast Parts. We still have $1,600 remaining from Sparrowhawk last year. And by the way, Sparrowhawk chose us again for the fall. And so we'll be working with Black Futures Farm and Master Gardeners. So we'll probably be getting a nice amount of money there as well. We had some miscellaneous donations of $350. So we have in our own funds $15,241. I did not include the Metro Refresh grant. That's going to just get wiped off against the expenses of the of Spring Green. So that's not money that's at our disposal. So, we have over $20,000 at our disposal. So that is puts us in a very good position to be able to, for example, afford our MailChimp and other communications things that we use. Go ahead, Kim.
That's great news for Spring Green. Do you know what were the donations last year? I'm just curious the difference.
Oh gosh, I looked it up too. It was like in the low 700s, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we made more this year, and so we have a lot of we have many resources. We have the fiscal sponsorship of Southeast Uplift. We have the liability insurance. We have the D&O insurance. We have the use of the BDCC, and we have a good relationship going with Impact Northwest. We're working on the building. It's been a slow process, but we're making headway. And I feel that we have a lot to boast about to prospective board members, because we have many resources, tools for people to use, and that includes some financial backing. So I just wanted to share this with you. It's very good news. It's very nice. And we're keeping money over at Southeast Uplift so that when we have to do the annual report to the Department of Justice, we can report a minimum. We don't have to report a huge amount of money like the $13,000 from Precision Cast Parts, just in case we do have this tax liability that I still don't know anything about. So it's just safer over there, but we can always reach out for funds that we need. But we don't have to report any money that's held in our name at Southeast Uplift. We don't have to report that to the Department of Justice. So anyway, that's very good news. We don't have to approve the treasurer's report. We can just accept it. Do I hear any objections to the report, or do you see any mistakes or anything? I've checked this 20 times, so I have
good to me.
It has to agree with the monthly statement from Adventist, right? So if I'm even off by a penny, I have to spend time tracking down that penny. So it balances exactly with Adventist and with what Southeast Uplift reports. So I promise you that it's right. It's very accurate, and it's just a very nice piece of news. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And one of the things I wanted to go over with you, and it seems like we're already at 8:30, and maybe we can't do it, but let me just go back to the agenda for a moment. So this let me do it really fast, okay? Because it was just so lovely. All your answers to the questions that I asked. What should BDNA work on? What project would delight you if you had all the means, if you had the time, you had all the volunteers you needed, you had all the funding, you had all the advertising, everything you needed. What would you work on? So Tina wants to spread the word about BDNA, and she has some suggestions on how to do that, and she wants to work on climate action. Derek is very interested in emergency management, although now he's got some things going on in his life that may take him away from our board and away from our local nets. I don't know. We'll see. Ms. Kim DeLeo is very interested in getting the BDCC improvements funded and accomplished, and wants to host events that bring people together and advocate for residents' concerns, specifically livability and safety. Gail feels the most important function is to connect people with resources in a useful way, and BDNA should bring people together in ritual annual events like movies in the park, and those events could be fundraisers. They don't have to be. And she said that, and I've heard this from somebody else too, that BDNA held a big neighborhood-wide yard sale. Homes that participated were marked on a map, and people could go from home to home and rejoice in this yard sale and that yard sale. And the homeowners were paid what, $10 to be on the map? That seems like a lovely idea. And Gail would like to paint the BDCC inside and out. So would I. We're working on it.
So would I.
It's looking pretty shabby, but Andy Nelson is, I hope he's still doing this. He said he would apply for a grant from a foundation he knows that would be willing to replaster. And part of the outside of the BDCC is I guess it's a plastering job where the plaster is colored. Anyway, we're working on that, and we're starting to get steam on BDCC matters. Lisa Jameson feels that BDNA should work on crime and speeding. She would also like us to offer a series of relevant speakers at BDCC meetings. And I think that would be a good thing to do. And she also feels we should build community by offering events and activities at the BDCC. She wants to revive the center with activities, forums, speakers, gathering time. And she'd like to do a no sale price garage sale that would focus on kids' clothing, is similar to what she's working on now. And she's suggesting not holding so many general meetings, hold one every quarter and have them be in person and have a relevant speaker at that. So this is something we should discuss. What can we do going forward to bring people into the center? So we can start talking about that in May. Laura Lee Cole feels that if the neighborhood association can't continue to exist, that we should persevere as an informal group and use the BDCC as a town hall and meeting site. And she also would like to do a big garage sale. And she would like to offer activities at the BDCC for which people show up and get something back. She's thinking of a winter celebration, different populations, guests get hot cider. It's not a fundraiser. Have a coffee meetup on a weekday morning. Have coffee and cookies for seniors once a month or week. Her dream project is to manage a quarterly art or photo show, not a gallery, not a market, at the BDCC. She likes hot cider. Hot cider in winter sounds good. People would just come to enjoy the display. It wouldn't be a fundraiser. Maybe you ask the artist to contribute a small amount for beverage, decorations, lighting, but it would feature one artist or sometimes one artist, maybe more, and publicized in local media. And that sounds like a charming idea. I really like that idea too. Brett Farrell weighed in on improving infrastructure, creating a commercial center that is easy to walk to and around in, improve transit, lay more sidewalks, create more bike lanes, have a bike sharing program, and then have desirable areas for residents to go and fun events for families, because these are critical to cultivating a livable neighborhood. As far as community engagement, he would like to strengthen the neighborhood association, communicate via social media, organize volunteer-driven special events. Yeah, I would like to do that too. We need to round up people to be part of our neighborhood association effort. And then he's concerned about enhancing safety, community policing, better street lighting, encourage neighborhood watch formation. And finally, Eric Wyckoff, he wants to work with the city and county to stop drug use and houselessness. He doesn't want to rewrite the bylaws. Well, I'm sorry, Eric, but there's some parts that we have to maybe tweak here and there. He likes movies in the park and music in the park. And he'd like to hold arts, crafts, vintage fair in fall or winter. And then his vision is unusual. He wants to fight to replace car lots. I think he means car sales on 82nd, rundown apartments and cheap, disgusting motels in our neighborhood. And he has a model, I won't go into it here, of how to create housing for lower to middle class income people. So I won't go into that, but I will send it to you. And I think it's a lovely set of ideas, and I feel that it should form the basis for a work plan for the next year. I think there's plenty to work here, plenty of ideas here, and we really need to incorporate the BDCC. So let's make use of this. Thank you all for answering this and giving me your ideas. And in some cases, you preferred to answer one question, not another. That's fine. We got such lovely ideas. It's just wonderful. Thank you very much. Now, I want to talk really quickly about recruitment. I've prepared for each of you a file that is filled with information to use to recruit other people with ideas. I'm going to put a copy of this document here or I already have it in each folder. I have many copies of our what do we do? We're making things happen, colored bar chart, some little cards that have text on the back that can be used for texting people, lists of things that we do, words to use, ideas to use. And I'm going to be bringing each of you a folder, and I invite you to look through it, think about it, share contents to your friends, to your family, your neighbors, on social media, where you work, if you know people who live in our area. We have several months to work in, so there's no panic here. But we want to teach people about the BDNA. That's a primary focus, and invite them to accomplish things that they want to accomplish by using our tools and resources. So I feel if we if we were to get a dynamic larger group on the BDNA, then we can also share the housekeeping tasks. I've got these refined to where they are not burdensome. So if anybody asks you about that or the subject comes up, you can say that they're not burdensome, they have to be done, but if we share the work, it gets done. And Kim has made a good point that if we do share in the work, then things get done and it's not hard. It becomes a fun endeavor, things that we do together. So I did include a sheet of paper that lists major areas of effort and a sliding scale of hours per month to devote to it. You know, there's a minimum amount, or you can go all out and be a fanatic or do great things, you know, with the upper amount. But so that could be helpful to you if people ask you what in addition to the monthly meetings is there. And I also included a list of fun volunteer tasks. So I'm going to bring this around to you, leave it at your front door if you're not home, and please make use of it and start reaching out to people over the weeks ahead, okay? And I'll really appreciate it if you do that. And I'm asking our advisors to do this too. Share it up and down your street. Share it with people who come to your church. If you go to church, again, you know, there are many different venues. I'm going to be doing the same, and I'm also going to be attending meetings, speaking here and there, and trying to inspire people with the vision I have of how powerful and wonderful the neighborhood association can be. So we are primed for strong advocacy, in addition to doing events, in addition to being able to share the community center. We've got funding now. We have good relationships with people at PBOT and in other bureaus. You know, we're really in a wonderful position. We just need people to come to our factory and run the machines. So that's one metaphor I suggested using in the folder of stuff that I've put together. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Are there any questions? Oops, wait. Okay. All right, any observations? Matthew. I didn't know you were still with us.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm listening, and it's a great and just that one-on-one invitations is some of the most successful ways of bringing people in, because it allows you know you're thinking about them, that you believe in them, and those individual invitations can be way more effective than an invitation than advertisement in like the Southeast Bee or other newsletters. And so just Stephanie, I agree wholeheartedly with your call to action that each board member think about some person that you know that would be a great role in this invitation to the Brentwood Darlington Neighborhood Association. And that personal invitation too is like your vote of confidence and that you believe in them and see a positive aspect of them contributing to the livability and enhancing the neighborhood. So just would encourage you all to think about that strongly. Just one or two invitations is really key to bringing people into the conversation, invite them to be active participants in the neighborhood association.
I think that's a very good point. Yeah, we don't need to focus on quantity of people that we reach out to, but I'm giving you lots of documents to use just so you don't run out. But you don't need to be indiscriminate. You don't need to feel that you have to be out there and talk to 100 people. It's much better to talk to people that you know and use the documents for information and just, you know, convey that there's so much that can be done through the neighborhood association if you just join forces, and it's fun. I mean, when we could come to a meeting, to an event like the recycling center, and we're all working there, it is so much fun to see something that we created happening in real time, and we're there together. And so if you can convey to people how delightful that is, that will help too. All right, are there any other comments on recruiting? And I'll be sending out a revision to our resolution that addresses what happens in May. And
yeah, I did have one question.
Sure.
So you mentioned that the work is shared. So are you still looking for people still have to agree to take on those specific positions though, right? Treasurer, secretary, chair, vice chair, right? The treasurer secretary is not shared, right?
It can be shared.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I remember when I first joined 7 years ago, we had a backup treasurer.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the treasurer and the backup treasurer took turns doing the report. And so then that made the work much easier, and they could also help one another if they had any questions. And the same thing with the minutes. I mean, we could share the minutes and have take turns doing those, and have set up a way of doing the minutes that makes it much less painful than normal. And so yes, I think Kim DeLeo was suggesting, yeah, we need to know how much time if we share how much time things take, but if we can share them, then it reduces the individual burden. And I think that sharing is a wonderful way to go.
Okay. Great to know. Good.
Okay. So would you like a folder of stuff? I mean, I hate to burden you with this. If you knew that you did not have to work day and night rounding up more board members. I mean, I can give you the same folder that I'm giving everybody else, and you can use it as you're able.
Sure. Yeah, I do have some friends in the neighborhood that I'm thinking of asking. So I'll try to reach out to them. And I think that they would be interested in maybe sharing a position. So we'll see. Cross my fingers. I don't know. I haven't asked them yet.
Well, all we can do is try.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do our best. I just feel that BDNA could be so wonderful and accomplish. I mean, we can accomplish, or we being us who live here, we who live here, can accomplish so much of benefit to the neighborhood if by using the tools, by using the resources that are inherent in the BDNA structure. So just go out and be enthusiastic, everybody, and we'll see what happens. All right, let's wrap it up. It's 8:48. Thank you for hanging in, as you always do. I really appreciate it. Anna, thank you for joining us. We're really happy that you are here. Okay. And all right, everybody, go and have a wonderful weekend.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Take care.
For letting me join.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good night, Matthew. Bye-bye.